What is up, quality people? Welcome back to the Weekly Tea. It is me, it is Miracle, and it is Kenya McIntosh. We want to thank everybody for joining in. MC42 already commented. Where the show at? Well, we right here. And I need you to like for the algorithm because we're on a mission to spread some practical religion. I wish you guys knew what all it took to even produce one of these shows and make sure everything, especially when we have 3 people here. When it's 2, a little bit easier, and I got like everything kind of streamlined for 2 people. When it's 3, throws in a little bit of a wrench, so we got to make sure everything is flowing together and no technical difficulties so that we can bring you the highest quality produced show that we can. But we have a great show lined up for you guys today. I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. But first, how is everybody doing?
Good. Good.
It's been a little over a week since we did our last Weekly Teas, and that's a new name change. Last time we called it the Weekly Roundup, and we voted. We had a
team vote,
a democratic process, a true democratic process go down in our group chat where I put 4 candidates, if you will, in a line, and I said, hey, why don't you vote for your favorite one in the Weekly Tea, Everybody voted. Yeah, it was the winner. And I'm not sure we can say the same about our own democratic elections, but but we have fair and square democratic election. No matter who wins, Democratic or Republic. We don't know what's going on back there. But we might get into some of that today, and we're going to get into some funny stuff today. But how was everybody's Thanksgiving before we get into that?
It was great. Went to Florida, got to visit my parents.
Ah, nice.
Got to see my grandfather and my aunt and my uncle. Oh, on Thanksgiving, me and my dad walked the beach, so that was cool.
Ah, that's nice. A little Thanksgiving beach. That almost doesn't even go together,
Yeah, it's weird.
That is weird.
But it's cool.
It's almost like beach on Christmas. It's like, I thought Santa was going down a chimney with snow around it.
That'll be me this year.
From the North Pole.
Yeah.
Beach for Christmas.
Like, I like it. No, shout out to you. Shout out to you. And shout out to your boo. Mr. Alan J is in the building. Look at that high yellow girl. I'm feeling good. I'm in San Fran.
All right.
Hey, he's traveling the world, making that money, doing what he does. Shout out to Alan. Well, he will be in the studio on Saturday for an all-new episode of The Conscious Outlet.
Tune in.
So, yeah, tune in.
It's going to be a good one.
Do you have, I know you put the show. Do you want to segue what you're going to talk about just a little bit?
Oh, yes. We're kind of thinking of doing a new series, taking a little break from the Microtrend series that we've been doing because Alan and I are like huge movie buffs. And so this time we're going to be discussing the old 90s classic black film, Love Jones.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about some stuff regarding the understanding of God that was presented in that film and how it kind of played out in the 2 main characters' relationship. That's gonna be
That's gonna be good.
Yeah.
That sounds like some quality content right there.
Yeah.
I like it. Now let's get into our segments. We got 8 of them, or no, 7, just 7 of them today, but they're gonna be fun. The first thing just came out today. Bless America, or Daily Wire goes woke. Now, I saw this trailer come out, and I was like, what is Daily Wire doing? They can't be doing this to me. They're putting men who are playing against women in a movie, and I was really, really angry. So I sent it to y'all to give your opinions, and y'all had the opposite of angry. Y'all loved it, and I just couldn't understand why. So we're going to take, and we're going to react just a little bit to this trailer to a new movie that's coming out Friday by the Daily Wire.
In a world where women's sports is being transformed, the Daily Wire calls foul with the most triggering comedy of the year. Hold up.
I don't like it. What are they doing? This is everything that they stand against, and they're putting it in a movie.
Oh, God.
What is happening here, guys? Does anybody want to chime in here? Because
I
I'm
just
very
wanna say,
confused.
I just love his face. I love all their faces. As the camera pans, we're like,
That is a confused soul right there. See, identity is something that you shouldn't play with. And now they're playing
It's
with it in a movie.
satire.
It's satire. I don't know what satire is. I'm completely serious right now.
oh my God.
Why would they do this to us?
I feel like
The Daily Wire was supposed to be a beacon of hope and light in the world. I mean, sometimes they go a little far. Sometimes they're a little too authoritarian. But ultimately, I align with most of their values. And then they put this out.
you don't like it.
What is it? Look at this guy.
Does it not make you laugh?
No, that
that's
makes
the
me
point.
cry.
It makes you cry.
Yeah, that makes me cry on the inside because that person right there is so confused.
Well, maybe we'll have more context
As
in
we
the
continue to
actual
watch.
trailer.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I just need to press play.
Yes.
And... oh,
Yeah, that part.
Hold up.
Thank you.
bro.
You know,
That's happening in real life.
I know.
that's why it's so funny.
And people are still okay with it. That's why it's funny to me because
Yeah.
it's just like this is literally what it looks like.
And this is what I love about it because it's like, it's comedic. Like, this is really a play on what's going on right now, and
Yeah.
we're looking at it from the lens of comedy.
Like-
Like, it's hilarious.
Have you guys seen the South Park
Oh, the Pandaverse.
episode? Is it the Pandaverse?
It probably is.
I don't know.
It's
I can't remember what.
Put a chick in it and make her gay.
No, not that one.
Oh.
Just the South Park episode about like transgender people in sports. That episode.
I don't think so.
That's a very good episode. You
I
guys
don't
should
think
watch.
so.
It's similar to this, but of course in South Park.
I'm definitely gonna watch. I love South Park. They are uncancelable. 'Cause they don't care.
Yeah, they don't. They really don't.
Well, I'm glad y'all are having a good time. I'm still trying to figure out why the Daily Wire betrayed me.
I get it.
So let's
But
continue.
maybe they didn't.
Maybe it's not about you.
Guys, this is serious.
It's not about me. They always-
Identity is all about you.
They always say facts don't care about your feelings. And now they're making a whole movie about feelings.
Maybe they're trying to display facts as they.
Through the lens of feelings.
Yes.
Through the lens of feelings. So they're
Yeah.
trying to make me feel something factual.
Because you did, right?
I
felt
know.
something.
No, that was just a word salad. All right, here we go. Front red.
Sports can be your pathway to a better life.
Well, like yours?
Please don't steal my catalytic converter again. Winning matters. It's the key ingredient in becoming a winner.
Maybe you should try it sometime. Are you gonna move?
I am not.
Let's cut to the chase. I know you're not a woman.
Hey, you don't know how he identifies.
If you
Do y'all think that was a woman?
Of course not. I mean,
No. No. Not on any day of the week.
No.
Not even on the Lord's Day?
No, never.
Absolutely,
Especially not on that day. Absolutely not.
Okay. We're only gonna watch a small little bit more of this.
beat them,
What do you know about the U.S. Opens for the Global Games?
You want us to compete as women. $5,000 prizes.
My lover says you were a great coach back in the day.
join them.
This is the way the world is now. My 8-year-old daughter told me all about it. So a guy can become a girl with no physical changes at all.
Oh, that's called gender fluid.
So I can be a woman on the court and a man in the bedroom. I can't believe it. Nice.
Hold up.
And that is what encompasses it all right
Yeah.
there. So that brings up a good question.
That about
Is
sums it up.
this the return of true comedy where we can actually make fun of things that are going on in culture and make light of things and to shed a bigger and deeper meaning?
Man,
I hope
Bring
so.
awareness.
I
Yeah.
hope so.
Because this made me laugh.
It
I
made
cannot
me-
wait
I thought it was
to see
hilarious when I watched this. Of course, I was joking when I when I said the Daily Wire was betraying us.
Yeah.
But I think it does, bring an element of fun and sport, which is, sport and comedy has always been two things where, well, entertainment in general, where people can get away from, all the political stuff and, not having to worry about, all these different issues. Who am I? what am I doing here? What's my place in the world? It was a place for you to escape and for you to draw, deeper meanings to things so that when you do return to your life, you have a better perspective, a more fun perspective, or, a more lighthearted, or even a serious perspective. Like there's movies that shine awareness on, different issues to where it's like, oh, like I really appreciate my life because maybe it's about somebody who was going through a tragic circumstance, lost somebody, or overcame something, more like a Job experience, essentially. And so that's what media has always done. And I think this is just right along the lines of it. So, I mean, even if you do agree more along with that ideology, you should still be able to laugh at, some of the silliness that's going along with how it's being pushed and what some people are peddling about it. So I do think it's a return to true comedy because a lot of comedians have openly said, like, we can't say things, we can't even make certain jokes anymore without being canceled
right.
unless they get to a certain stature. Like there's certain
Dave
people
Chappelle.
Like, I was just
who,
thinking that.
I mean, there's even some people that are, not as popular as Dave Chappelle. He's like mega star that have garnered a following that, really rock with them. And maybe they're not the most conservative, but they can make fun of, things on both sides and their people are still there. But what if you're an up and coming comedian and you have
that's harder.
you have a balanced perspective on things, but you're afraid to push the boundary and talk about this certain issue on this side because of the backlash that you may receive, which I think is a deeper problem. So, do y'all have anything to add? I thought that was just an interesting thing that came out earlier. I thought we had to react to it, make fun of it, as it was making fun of the cultural issues of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it. Comedy is supposed to give your brain a break from the realness that the world can come off as sometimes, So, I'm excited to see it, to be honest. I think this is the first time I'm really gonna be in my seat laughing.
Oh yeah.
Since a long time since I've been seeing movies.
Right.
In the past decade.
We need to have a watch party or something.
Yeah, it comes out Friday. I believe it's at 8 p.m. Eastern time, something like that. And so, yeah, I'll be tuning in at some point to see it. And we have another Weekly Tea episode Friday, so maybe we'll try to give you some more details without maybe spoiling it, but give you just an overall perspective of, how good was it? Because the trailer was good, but sometimes trailers are good and the movie flops. So, yeah. But what do you think about this? Is this Daily Wire going broke or woke with this movie? Or are they just right in line with what they've always been peddling? We would like to know. We'll be right back after this break.
Fight for the algorithm.
Hey guys, welcome to the Conscious Outlet Podcast. We are officially a part of the Quality Entertainment Network, and we are so happy to be here. I'm Miracle Monique.
And I'm Alan J.
And we're here to discuss the intersection of culture, faith, media, so we can inspire some practical solutions to some huge societal challenges that we're facing today. So let's work together to get this done. Challenges that we're facing today. So let's work together to get this done.
Quality. What's up, people? Josh is over here getting situated.
Yeah.
Why did you say welcome back to the Weekly Tea? The prompt is on the screen, Kenya. Welcome back to the Weekly Tea. Over here, like, comment, subscribe. This is Miracle. She doesn't need an introduction. She already introduced herself. Man, we have a great topic. We just finished that topic. Now we're moving on to quarantine isolation law reinstated. What? We gotta talk about it. Make sure you like for the algorithm. We want to shout out to some of our quality people in the chat. Shout out to T Mac.
Hello, my love.
Hello, quality fam. Hello. T-Mac, Mama Mac, all the Macs. Hello to all of you. We're glad that you tuned in to today's show. So this is something that Miracle sent to the group, and while I'm pulling up this article, I'm going to let her kind of give you a brief overview of what this article kind of entails.
Basically, this quarantine isolation law gives, I guess, the law overseers in the state of New York to kind of apprehend you in your home based on their knowledge of you having some sort of disease or a condition, to where they're able to actually take you from your home and put you in isolation. And it can be for any disease. It doesn't have to be something that was, C19 related. It can be for something as simple as, like, I don't know, toxic shock syndrome that you get from tampons. So.
What?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Are you saying what because you didn't know that, or what?
No, I didn't know that at all. And that description was, I was not ready for that description at all. Jeez. Jeez. Well, I guess. All right. So, as Miracle was so eloquently saying, the quarantine isolation law reinstated after appellate division decision. Now, this is in New York specifically. So,
of course.
This is in New York specifically. So, a rule that allows state health department to lawfully order someone to involuntarily isolate or quarantine to control a highly contagious disease such as COVID-19 has been reinstated in a unanimous, I clicked on the ad, in a unanimous decision by a mid-level appellate court. The ruling by the 4th Judicial Department, which has jurisdiction in 22 counties in central and western New York, overturns a decision last year by the state court or Supreme Court justice in Cattaraugus County, who found the rule violates the constitutional requirement for a separation of powers between the legislative and executive branches when the promulgating rules as severe as involuntary isolation. So basically, they're saying that, okay, pandemic happened, and we just need to get something out there. Executive order, people can be isolated. They passed this thing through. Then I guess they overturned that.
That's what it looks like.
Or they made a decision about that executive decision saying that, hey, it didn't go through the proper separation of powers where it gets voted on by the legislator after it's, maybe brought up by the governor or the president if you're thinking of, federal. And it didn't go through that process before it made it to the court, so it should be canceled. And they're saying, we get that, but nah, we're still rocking with it. We think it's a good policy. The Republican petitioner said they plan to appeal the decision to the State Court of Appeals, the state's highest court. The GOP officials in a joint statement expressed concerns that the case could create precedent for overreach into policy making. So, that brings up the question that we have raised. Does this prove government overreach in New York? Like, do you think this is going to bring up something that might lead to overreach in another area? What do y'all guys think?
Yeah, I think so. And I think even before this, we've seen that there's been overreach in different areas, especially once C-19 happened. So having it, I guess, officially written, I think will just make it even worse.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and exactly. And that's why it's important to kind of contain these kind of things now while it's still just a state action, because it can be copied over into other areas, into other states who see this as a good idea potentially. Yeah. But it's like these days laws are written the way contracts are. You need special people in order to read and understand them and know what exactly everything means. And it really shouldn't be that way, because there's a lot of loopholes and other things that the average citizen obviously wouldn't catch. And so it's like you can still miss the important aspects of these laws as they're being passed. And it's also important to understand the process in which a law becomes a law too. But you know,
Yeah,
like
which is,
to
I think
keep
that's
us
why
distracted.
that's why they're arguing the separation of powers thing.
Yeah, checks and balances.
Yeah, which that makes sense. So for me, I kind of looked at it from a little bit of a different perspective because I don't think the law itself is inherently bad. I think there's a place for it to where, like, you know, if somebody's going crazy and wilding out, then yeah, sometimes people need to be, you know, involuntarily isolated. The problem is that we've been conditioned to expect, you know, just not overreach, but corruption from both sides for policies to be abused in different ways. And you were mentioning loopholes, for people to find loopholes to weaponize different policies. And so it's easy to see how this can easily be weaponized for political gain rather than saying like, okay, no, this is actually something that can be useful in certain scenarios and has its place in the law, which I think it absolutely does, but I think in the wrong hands, it can be used for bad to pin one side, like you enforce it against a group of people to, you know, I guess discourage them while you let this other group, you know, kind of get away with it so that they can continue to do whatever and prosper and, you know, go about their business. And so that's the only problem that I have with it, but I don't have a problem with the actual idea. The problem is the people who are, you know, carrying out these ideas that are, you know, being, you know, brought up within and the policies that are being brought up. It's not that I dislike a lot of the policies because a lot of policies have, you know, they sound good or they may have good intent behind them. But then when you know, power in the wrong hands is, you know, it's not good for anybody. And so that's the problem that we have with, you know, a lot of these, you know, different policies and things. And I think that the GOP and the, you know, the Republicans, they're like, oh, it's going to lead to overreach. And it's like, yeah, it could. But if this was in favor of you, y'all could easily do the same thing as well. And so instead of people, you know, fighting for political power, they need to be coming together to see how this law can, you know, either affect society in a positive way. Because that's the only reason a law should ever get passed is like, what is the benefit for society, not what is the benefit for my political group. And I think that's the problem.
I agree with that point. My only concern is like, it makes me think of with mental institutions where sometimes they'll hold someone involuntarily because they think they need to be held. But there have been instances where someone really didn't need to be held and they weren't able to leave because of some reason they're unable to leave. So that's my only concern is like holding someone, like who decides who gets to be held there and how long are they held there? How does their family get to, I guess, intervene in that situation? So I think that'd be my questions.
Yeah.
No, and I definitely agree. And like I said, the overall idea of, you know, involuntary isolation, I think has its place. In what capacity, I'm not sure. And it definitely, in that example that you brought up, it's like, yeah, we need some sort of system to make sure that people who don't need to be isolated, whether it's for, you know, infectious disease that's going around or whether it's for mental health reasons, they aren't being isolated involuntarily in the wrong circumstances, right? Because as people, we're social beings and we should be interacting, you know, with society, with our family, with our friends as much as possible, because that's a lot of times where we draw our meaning, we draw our purpose, and we get our joy, and we, you know, just carry out a fulfilling life is through, you know, our interactions with people. But if you're isolated from that, well, then that can really, you know, send you down a deeper hole that, you know, maybe you've dug a little bit, but maybe you just needed people to help you come out of it. But if you're further isolated, you just keep digging that hole to where it's like a place of no hope, a place of no return. And so that's kind of where I was coming from with that. So yeah, let's dive deep or a little bit deeper into this article here. It says these Republican lawmakers, list some of the guys. There were members of the assembly at the time of filing, argued their legislative powers were usurped from them by the office of government Kathy. Dude, this is going crazy. Let's see. Where is that? Oh, Kathy Hochul, I'm not sure how did you say her name, which issued the violation rule last year. So it sounds like she issued it upon somebody. I'm not sure. The court disagreed with the GOP members. The state legislature retained its power to address the regulations. The panel wrote about the body controlled by Democratic supermajority. In July 2022, State Supreme Court Justice Ronald P. Plowitz ruled that the isolation rule violated the constitutional requirement for a separation of powers between the two branches of government. He noted it had not been enacted by the state legislature, but by the administration of the then government Andrew M. Cuomo to respond to the escalating that's supposed to be virus, right? I think that's the typo. Coronavirus, various.
I think it's frozen.
Yeah, I can't see.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But anyway, what do you guys think about that? Do you think this, you kind of answered it, but do you have any closing thoughts before we deuce out this topic?
I guess closing thought is I see that there is a purpose for, certain policies and stuff like that, but I also think there should be a limit to how much the government can intervene in personal things. I think a lot of times people tend to depend on the government to do certain things, like putting someone in isolation or feeding or paying for stuff, when I think a lot of times that's something that we should do as a people, is help other people, not necessarily depend on the government to do that. And I think when we do depend on the government to do that, that is when overreach happens. That's when things kind of get out of control. And I think that's why we are in the predicament that we are in now, where there's just people and there's divisiveness between both political parties because there's just so much control being in their hands. So that's my final thought.
Yeah.
Okay, Miracle?
I can agree with that. At some point, we have to understand and define what these statute of limitations are when we create these laws, because it's not as simple as us collectively understanding it anymore. I mean, words have meaning, and in order for us to understand everything we're getting into when it comes to enacting these laws that we're trying to do, it has to come down to us understanding to a T what everything means as far as, okay, what diseases are we talking about? What are the ramifications for that? What symptoms are we discussing? Does it have to be a known disease? What happens in the case of another C-19 pandemic? It's things like that scare me about it, because laws are necessary and government intervention is necessary, but it's to what degree? And then for us to collectively understand what is all entailed in that is really important, because we are the ones that are going to see the end of that.
No, that was well said. And I think that we need to, the power in the hands of the wrong people can easily, just continue to corrupt our society. And we need to get back to a place where, our lawmakers and our politicians are, working for the good of the people and not using that as a masquerade to work for the good of their party to gain political power. Because I think a lot of these policies are being weaponized, saying, oh, we're going to pass this through as a Republican, we're going to be strong, we're going to stay strong to our base. And it's like, I care less about whether you're preaching to your base or this or that. It's like, yeah, I understand that you have to do that, and I understand you got to play politics to win. But at the end of the day, we need to be affecting society in a positive manner in case something like, COVID-19 happens again, so that we have things in place and that we have strong structure that people can rely upon and that can be fine-tuned, right? It's not the time to make them when it happens, because that's the situation that we found ourselves in 2020. It was like, oh snap, what do we do now? And we have to make up all these things. You don't agree. It's like we're following the science. Oh, yeah, there wasn't really science for it, right? And so we need to elect leaders, or our leaders need to change. So it's kind of an and both, where they're working towards, hey, what's good for all people, and working together with their constituents on the other side as well, so that we can push society forward in the right direction. But that's just what we think. We want to know what you think. We'll be right back in the live chat. But if you're watching the replay, check this video out next.
Fight for the algorithm.
About that knee drop.
We're going to work through this track meet in Birmingham, get ready for the Nationals, and hope to put in a good performance.
Just making sure she pushes out of both legs, out of the blocks, and not just relying on one leg.
Wow.
Let's go do it.
What is up? Welcome back to the Weekly Tea, people. It's me, Joshua P. It's her, Miss Kenya Mack. And it's her, Miss Miracle Monique. Yeah, I just rhymed, so don't ever say I don't have bars.
I don't think anyone says that.
But can I dream? Come on. Come on now.
You can do whatever you want.
Come on now. T-Mac says everyone has gone plum crazy.
Plum.
I agree with her.
Is that a thing?
Including the kids.
I've never heard it, but it sounds delicious.
Oh, man. All right, so.
Like for the algorithm.
Need you to like for the algorithm. Because Blue Ivy, Beyonce's little girl, in response to criticism. Yeah, her firstborn. She responded to criticism in a beautiful fashion. Before we get into this article by People, should we be criticizing child performers? Because as you know, Blue Ivy's been going around with the Queen Bee, as I guess the Princess Bee, just dancing her little heart out. And some people have been like, those dance moves ain't it. And so, do you think that is the proper way to, conduct yourself on the internet by criticizing somebody who's 11, even though they are performing in front of the masses?
I mean, should we? No. But is it going to happen? Yes. She's in the spotlight. She's Beyonce's firstborn daughter. When Beyonce announced she was pregnant, it was Blue Ivy. Like,
right.
That it's going to happen. And so these are the consequences of being in the spotlight with the most famous parents in the world.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
This is what happens. Should we be criticizing a child performer? No, we shouldn't, because we know what that can do to the psyche of a child. We know that's not appropriate. We know it's unnecessary. We know it's not Christian-like at all. So no, we shouldn't be. But will it happen because we live in the world? Yes.
What about you, Kenya? What do you think?
Yeah, that's how I was conflicted, because I was like, no, we shouldn't criticize a child, especially if they're just living their best life, just dancing away. But then, as Miracle was saying, she is the child to the most famous parents. Her mom is probably one of the best performers. And of course, people are going to compare her to her mom. And then also, people just say mean stuff all the time.
No, that's very true.
So I guess my overall answer should we be criticizing child performers? No, we should not.
I like those perspectives there. Now, Beyonce says Blue Ivy used negative comments about her tour performances as motivation. I like that.
It's because not up there, by the way.
It's still frozen right there.
Yeah.
Really? Come on. All right. Well,
it's those ads.
Yeah. We'll it turned off. Hold on. Give me just a second. Pull this back up here. And we should be back. Okay, there we go. So it says Beyonce says Blue Ivy used negative comments about her tour performances as motivation. Now, I think that is a great perspective, because especially when you're, coming up, and now that's something you kind of learn in sports. It's like, people are going to hate on you. People are going to talk bad about you. In the stands of baseball, people are going to, try to get in your head, the other team maybe, or sometimes the other people in the stands, especially once you get into high school and in college, especially, the higher you go up. But if you can kind of learn that, hey, let the haters kind of be your motivators, not to sound too cliche there, then that sets you up for a good mindset of how to deal with negativity when people inevitably talk bad about you. Now, as a child of, Beyonce and Jay-Z, it's inevitable that people are going to talk about you in some capacity, and the people that don't like them are probably going to talk about you in a bad light, whether, it's warranted or not. And so now when you start to perform, especially on a stage of that magnitude, I believe it kind of just open yourself up to criticism. Kind of like if a child goes on to American Idol or one of those voice contests, and it's like, aren't they subject to the same criticism as somebody who's an adult that goes on there, because they're trying to prove that they have merit in the same competition and compete? There shouldn't be like a handicap. And so from that aspect, I'm like, well, she kind of, put herself in the big leagues, essentially, to compete and to be open to the criticism. Now, of course, people on the internet you shouldn't be cyberbullying or, saying comments that, well, some people would say that to their mom or their closest friends. But, we all know that there's just absolute garbage on the internet. There's people that are going to comment just nasty things, and you kind of have to be immune to it. Kind of like this article was saying, not even Blue Ivy is immune to internet commentary. In her new concert film, Beyonce revealed that after her older daughter joined her on stage for several of her Renaissance World Tour stops this summer, the 11-year-old was affected by online critiques of her dancing. Love on Top singer 42 shared that Blue Ivy read negative comments, about her dancing after her first surprise appearance on stage in Paris in May. Now that's kind of sad that like you just have your first appearance and you're excited and you're like, man, I killed it, got to get on stage with my mom. Like not even thinking like, oh, this is the biggest performer in the world. I got to get on stage with my mom, and now I'm reading these comments. Now that could really damage the psyche, like you were saying, Miracle, of a young child. So she said that Blue Ivy, whom she shared with her husband Jay-Z, was determined to prove any naysayers wrong and devoted herself to working even harder on her dancing. Beyonce also admitted that the notion of her daughter joining her on stage at all was not something she was particularly keen on. Originally, the idea was that Blue Ivy would make just one on-stage appearance, and even that wasn't a plan that the singer was exactly thrilled about. She said in the film that performing in front of thousands was no place for an 11-year-old. So what do you guys think about that? Think about Beyonce's
I mean,
outlook.
I agree. I mean, I see like why she would say that to protect her child, you know? Oh, that's tough. I don't know. Yeah, that's tough. I see why she says no, and I would probably do the same thing when I get kids and stuff like that. But I also think that allowing her to perform on stage allows her to express herself and allows her to grow in that area if she wants to become a dancer. So, yeah, I guess that's my thought on that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do believe that Blue Ivy used those negative comments as motivation, because if you look at the comparison from the first performance to the very last one, completely two different people. Like, that last performance, I forgot what state she was in, but you could tell she had been working really, really hard to get that dance down packed. And she was really, really good at it. She was really good when she performed. So yeah, I think I really do like Beyonce's comments on this, because her commentary isn't leaning towards, well, y'all shouldn't be criticizing my daughter. No, she's being realistic and she understands that's going to happen, which is why she was worried about her being on stage in the first place. She realizes she is Beyonce. She realizes that people are not so nice and they will criticize Blue Ivy just because of who she is related to Beyonce and everything. Right. So, I mean, Beyonce's not dumb. She knew all this in her head, but at the same time, she knew that she couldn't protect her from these type of things forever, maybe. Yeah. And so I think to a degree she was allowing her to go this far, because it's like, well, at some point it's gonna come to you, and yes, I'm gonna be here and be your mom, but emotionally you'll have to grow from this and you'll have to stand on your own like she did on stage. I forgot the lyrics, but it was something about standing with her bloodline or something like that. It was pretty good, but yeah, I think in that way, this is allowing Blue Ivy to really come into her own, and at the same time develop that resilience against those people, while at the same time using that as motivation, as it said in the article.
No, yeah, I think it's good because, like you said, Beyonce has the right outlook on how to handle the situation. It's like, yeah, I'm not too keen on it, but when your child is expressing an interest in something and they're training and working very hard in a particular area, what are you supposed to do? Are you just supposed to shield them from the world? They're already, now, in fairness, celebrities, well, some of them, boast to their child out front and, blast kind of their public lives. But a lot of them will keep their children back out of the spotlight until, they get of age to kind of make their own decision on whether they want to go for, being more of a famous entertainment role, or, even if you follow the sports route. So I think she has the right outlook on, okay, I kind of wanted to guard her from this, but because she has this gift and she's been working really hard at it, well, let's give her a shot. And I have what better platform than on my tour? And now that's kind of a gift and a curse, because it's a gift because you got this incredible opportunity, but it's also kind of a curse because it might be too much too soon. But based on this article, it seems like the 11-year-old has a little moxie, and a little chip on her shoulder, if you will, and a great mindset overall to say like, hey, I understand that people are going to talk about me, and I understand that maybe I wasn't even thrilled about my first performance, but hey, I got out there and I did it. And instead of, harping on what people are talking bad about me about, I'm going to give them a reason to talk, about me in a positive light, or I'm just going to shut up these haters in general. And like you said, the article goes on to mention, like, even if you compare her videos from the first time that she performed to, to current day, it's night and day because she's, put in that work and she's worked hard. And that just shows the grind of a true champion and a true leader and somebody who's going to be very good in their field because, she's being raised by two people who are essentially the best in their field. Jay-Z's one of the best rappers of all time. Beyonce is one of the best pop singers of all time. And so I think she's kind of following in that kind of mindset and that trajectory.
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably why her mindset is how it is, because she's been raised by such influential parents who have dealt with criticism and things like that. So they probably, even before this moment, they probably already instilled in her like a level of confidence and also how to deal with, I guess, hard circumstances or criticism and things like that. So that's could also be why Beyonce was like, yeah, we'll give her a shot.
Yeah. I can see like a level of maturity with her too. I don't know. It was the way that, because I went to Beyonce's concert in Atlanta, and it was the way that Blue Ivy sort of knew her place on stage. You could sense that she has some years on her as far as her maturity. Like, I almost forgot she was 11 because of how well she handled it. And even reading this article and everything, I can tell that she's going to get really far with the mindset that she's developing right now. Mm-hmm. And that's really good because these days, a lot of parents like to be very guarded with their children and protect them from everything and essentially make them emotional babies forever. And so I'm glad that with a child that is on this fame level that her parents have, it's kind of like, I'm glad she's being exposed appropriately at the appropriate times with the appropriate amount
supervision
of
too.
Yeah, supervision, exactly. To kind of allow her to be her while at the same time growing within that and understanding like not everyone's gonna like you just because you're Beyonce's daughter.
No, yeah, absolutely. And the other crucial thing that nobody's really talking about is that she has two parents there to kind of foster her through this.
Two parents.
Right? A lot of people either have absentee parents who are kind of like either pushing them back out on the stage even if they don't want to do it or telling them to suck it up. But maybe, I don't know what their private conversations are like, but it seems like the conversations are leading to actions that are helping her to deal with negativity in a positive manner rather than, hey, get back out there, don't care what people think, suck it up, you got to push it to the back of your mind. It's like, no, people are going to talk trash and you can read it or you cannot read it, but either way, you got to kind of understand that and you have to use it to continue to make yourself better so that, it doesn't give people a reason to, talk about you in a negative light at all, even though it's inevitably going to happen. So, yeah, you got to use it to propel yourself forward rather than backwards. We have a comment from T-Mac, thank you. It should not happen in regards to, should people be criticizing child performers. People are going to say whatever. The thing is, people don't care. They should think about how it would make the child feel. Now, unfortunately, that's a good, way to approach any situation. Like, hey, before I say this, how would this make the other person feel, and what's the best way to say what I'm trying to say, but in a productive manner, even if it's going to make somebody feel, negative emotions, because sometimes it's inevitable you're going to have to make somebody feel negative emotions, but you definitely shouldn't seek out making somebody feel negatively about themselves, especially a child, if you can help it. And so if you're online criticizing how an 11-year-old's dancing, you probably need to go get a life. You probably need to go find something productive yourself to do, because she's doing something productive. She's making art for the world, entertainment for the world. She's helping to sell out, stadiums essentially for people's, entertainment and joy, so that they can have an escape from whatever crazy, life that they're having. She's doing something productive. And if you're criticizing that, then you probably need to, look at yourself in the mirror and figure out who the heck
you adding to the world?
What are you adding to the world, and who the heck are
you like your own life?
who the heck you are?
Yeah.
But that's just what we think. We want to know what you think. Leave it down in the comments. We'll be right back if you're in the live chat. But if you're not, check this video out next.
Fight for the algorithm.
Welcome back to the Weekly Tea. It is me, Joshua P. It is her, Miss Kenya Mack. And it is her, Miss Miracle Monique. We need y'all to do us a favor. Make sure you like for the algorithm. We're on a mission to spread some practical religion. We got a crazy topic. 7th grade teacher exposes the education system in viral video. And this leads us to an important question. Are you bored of education? Are you guys bored of education? No pun intended, but pun intended.
With the Board of Education, I am.
Okay, do tell.
Well, education in general, no. It's definitely important, but there are other ways of getting that in the public education system that we have now. And I would even be in favor of revamping it.
100%.
Into a better system. Because, I'm all for like private education, homeschool, just different forms of
YouTube education.
Yeah, exactly.
YouTube University.
All the time, I use it. And so, definitely on that wave.
Yeah, there is one teacher that is particularly bored of education. We're going to let him speak right now.
No, y'all, can we talk about it? Can we please talk about it? Let's take a moment to discuss. Let's take a moment to debrief. Let's take a moment to unpack.
Gen Z be like.
So I'm not really understanding why they're not telling y'all. Like, we all know that the world is behind, like, globally, like, because of the pandemic and stuff. But I don't understand why they're not stressing to y'all how bad it is. Like, I'm not even trying to be funny, but these kids are... I'm going to just say this. I teach 7th grade. They are still performing on the 4th grade level.
Hold up.
Bombastic side-eye.
I hear all the time from teachers.
Yeah, I hear it too.
Including my own best friend, who was a teacher for about a year. Like...
Yeah, I had a friend, she was a teacher. She said she hated it.
Yeah.
And she quit.
Yep, that's exactly what happened with my friend. She quit.
Wow. Yeah, it seems like a lot of the good teachers, either they stay and they just kind of get stretched thin, or they're there and they're like, this isn't worth it. And you're not making much money.
Yeah.
I'm dipping. Let me go find a new career path. I don't even have the patience for this. Now, This brother here seems like he's probably, a good teacher, a fair teacher, somebody who's not going to BS his kids through the 7th grade, but is going to say, hey, like, you passed or you failed. And that's kind of the reality of things. Now, when I was growing up, when I was younger, I heard about kids being held back all the time.
Yeah.
But then as I got older, it was like, oh, nobody was failing. You saw
Good point.
the system kind of evolve into the really no child left behind mentality where it's like,
But that's
you failed, let's just push you
Just
through.
pass you along.
That's how policy works. Like, once it's put in place, it's like you don't really see it until years later down the road, which is why we see why we see kids not getting held back like they should, because the policy's still there.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Let's continue to watch.
I don't care how you flip it, turn it, swing it, swindle it. They still performing on a 4th grade level. Ain't nobody talking about how they just keep moving, passing them on. They just keep passing them on, 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 passing them on. I can put as many zeros in this grade book as I want to. They're gonna move that child to the 8th grade next year.
Hold up.
Yeah. And like even now, as adults, most adults read at an 8th grade level.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a testament to how our education system is.
Yeah, I think most adults don't read past an 8th grade level in general. Like just like at a minimum, most adults can't read past an 8th grade level. But yeah, that's really sad that people are performing at a 4th grade level, as he's saying. And I'm not sure. Obviously, he's a teacher, so I'm just taking kind of his word for it. He's got the metrics on. Hey, the kid's reading level should be here for a 7th grader, but when I test him, his reading comprehension skills, it's actually kind of down here, and this child isn't passing the class, but yet they're ending up in the 8th grade the next year. I think that's really sad. It's a disservice to the kid because they're going to grow up and then they start complaining, and then they start wanting handouts because they've been pushed through the entire system, and then now they're just relying on government handouts, and they're voting on policy that's never going to help them elevate beyond their situation. And so I think it's just a huge disservice to the kids.
That's another conversation.
And I guess to be fair to like the teachers and the Board of Education to an extent, I also think it falls on parents too, because it shouldn't be up to the teacher to teach the kid how to read. It should be the parents reading with the kids before school even starts, before they even dropped off in kindergarten or whatever. Like the parents should be reading with their kids.
Yes.
So
yeah, I absolutely agree. That was something that I was thinking about earlier when preparing for this topic. Was the parents used to be very involved in making sure that the child was getting good grades and that they were keeping up with their studies. But the fact that it seems that these kids are so far behind is emblematic of the fact that these parents are elsewhere in these kids' lives. It's like, what values are you, like when you're spending time with your kids, what are you actually passing along to them? Like, how are you actually helping to raise and develop them when you're with them? Are you just watching reality TV with them? Are you just watching their favorite YouTubers that are just entertainment YouTubers? Are you watching stuff?
Pound Town.
oh gosh,
And
don't
your 4-year-old daughter can hear it.
Town?
Sexy Red. It's a
Yeah,
song.
you never heard of it?
No, I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
But
Gab made me listen to it.
Gab, I'm praying for you, girl. I love you. You're my favorite cousin. I'm praying for you.
No, we weren't listening to it for fun. She was just like, you gotta
for
listen.
I read the
She was
lyrics.
Okay, good.
Yeah, she was like, you gotta watch.
So it was an experiment. Okay, that's
Yes,
fine.
yes.
That's fine. Yeah, a child shouldn't be
That's
listening
another
to
viral video,
anybody.
actually.
It's crazy.
Good job. What?
A child shouldn't be listening to anything with sexy in it.
Yeah, I agree. I
Like,
agree.
It makes me wonder if
Like,
these
go
parents
kick
are
a ball.
even aware. Like, if you really have a 7th grade son or daughter and they're really performing at a 3rd, 4th grade level, are you even aware of that, or do you just not care, or are you?
Are you blaming blaming?
Yeah, like
But then
I just
Cardi
really
B,
wonder what the average circumstance is around that. You know?
yeah, it's like they can't read at the appropriate grade level, but they know all the lyrics to the Cardi B song or the Sexy Red song.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's the issue.
That's a problem.
And they
Yes.
kind of understand what the lyrics mean, which is even
It's an even bigger problem.
a bigger problem.
Yes.
But they don't understand how to string coherent sentences along, or how, you know, how to comprehend a train of thought, to extract, you know, to think critically and extract,
Yes.
you know, different things from the text. But they understand, you know, I don't cook, I don't cling, but let me tell you, I got this ring.
Right. Right.
It's a shame. Let's see if the good brother has anything else for us.
Ain't nobody talking about that. Why they not talking about that? Why they not telling y'all that y'all? And why don't y'all know that y'all kids not performing on their grade level? Why y'all don't know this? Why y'all don't know? Talk about it. Let's unpack. Because y'all be quick to talk about, oh, the teacher this, the teacher this, the teacher. It's your job, baby. I just got here 30 days ago. She was performing on the 4th grade level since 4th grade.
At least you got to
Why
a
we not
4th grade
talking-
level
let's
by
talk about
4th
it.
grade.
It's the side eye for
Maybe.
me.
You the teacher. You supposed to be, again, she's been on the 4th grade level since the 4th grade. We in 7th grade now, so you let this child go 3 years and you never knew that your child was still in the 4th grade, ain't never left the... Hang it up, flat screen. In 4th grade is being nice. I still have kids performing on grade K, 1, 2, and 3rd grade levels. I could probably count on one hand how many kids are actually performing on their grade level. So just imagine, you don't know that your child been on the 2nd grade level since the 2nd grade, and they now in the 7th or 8th grade? Are you joking right now? And these are future leaders, our future doctors, our future nurses, our future... Please. Please.
On one hand, they teach like 25 kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's so bad.
And then I always hear about these policies where discipline in public schools are no longer as serious as they used to be. And so when a child is like acting up in class or something, it's not taken as serious by the higher ups in the school, like, you know, getting in trouble and everything. They're not really allowed to discipline the kids, send them to detention, things like that. They
detention was something that went away as we got older as well.
They instead are encouraged to talk to the kids, and
You can talk and go to detention
at the
still.
same time. At the same time, right. And so they're encouraged more to like talk to the kids and like find a way around it. I can't even give an example right now, but
See, that's where I'm in favor of
This is like
involuntary
gentle
isolation.
parenting, but for school.
But for schools, and we're seeing it's not working because what happens is the kids end up not respecting the teachers. The teachers are trying to inform the parents of how their child is doing in class, and the parents are still on the child's side saying, well, if they don't want to listen to you, they don't have to listen to you.
Well,
And now your child is in class saying, well, my mama said I don't have to listen to you. And the principal's like, it's okay.
Oh, no.
yeah, that's crazy. Well, they're not respecting the teachers because they don't respect their parents at home. And they have thus they have no respect for anybody.
Authority at all. Yeah.
Their parents usually don't respect any authority figures
Exactly,
either. They see
which-
their parents not respecting the teachers.
Yeah, and
so
so-
it gives their kids permission not to do it.
Yeah, kids are absolutely a reflection of their parents in multiple different ways. And so if your kid is acting up, now, of course, kids go through phases and different things like that, but generally, a child's going to return to the values that you instilled in them.
Oh, yeah.
And so if they are continuously having problems with respecting authority or just respecting people in general, then maybe you need to look at, if you're the parent, you need to look at yourself in the mirror and say, like, what am I lacking? Or what am I not instilling properly? How am I not going about this in a productive way so that my child, you know, has these values that are actually beneficial for their growth and contributions to society later in the future. So
I don't see much introspection going on these days. So
yeah, nobody can critically think.
Lots of finger pointing, lots of blaming, victim blaming, all of that. It's your fault I'm like this. this.
Yeah.
A lack of wisdom.
All of that.
Yeah. People, they're not taught to critically think. They're taught to regurgitate lyrics, essentially.
Yeah.
And,
Catchy songs.
and put their hands out.
Catchy slogans, catchy
Yeah.
ideologies.
Everything's easy.
Everything. And I'm entitled to everything.
Yeah. So in the words of propaganda, dear Board of Education, so are we. We'll see you on the other side of this break. If you are watching the replay, check this video out next.
Fight for the algorithm.
Hey guys, welcome to the Conscious Outlet Podcast. We are officially a part of the Quality Entertainment Network, and we are so happy to be here. I'm Miracle Monique.
And I'm Alan J.
And we're here to discuss the intersection of culture, faith, media, so we can inspire some practical solutions to some huge societal challenges that we're facing today. So let's work together to get this done.
Like
Hold on. The weekly tea is back, and boy, we got a juicy one. I ain't even gonna introduce my guests. We got Kenya, we got Miracle. We about to get into this because Tiana and Amon are divorcing. Say what before we get into that though?
Fight for the algorithm.
We're on a mission to spread some practical religion. Now, this couple was held up as a beacon of light
Black love.
in the black community. They were a symbol of black love. And then they were like, yeah, we love each other because we give three ways. We love each other because of this and that and all these, these oddities that aren't normal, which, I mean, sometimes it's good to, color outside the lines of normality and, what's status quo. But some of the stuff was kind of like red flags, like, maybe that shouldn't be happening in a marriage. And everybody's like, nah. It's Tiana Taylor. It's
for their
Amon.
marriage. It works for them.
It works for them.
I hear it all the time. It works for them. Clearly, it didn't.
Now they're divorcing, and so we got to talk about it. We have the culture spill. Oops, not that. Let me see. Let me get to the video. Did a great
The Bumble Buzz.
video on this, breaking down the whole situation. So we're gonna kind of give our thoughts on some of this.
Wait, hold on. Sorry. You know what's crazy? Lori Harvey was like on the same Bumble Bus with her, and Tiana was giving her advice.
Yes,
on
I
dating
remember
and
that.
stuff.
And then she went and her and Michael B. Jordan, which is probably the best
and
relationship that she
Damson
could have been
Idris
in.
Just broke
They
up
just
too.
broke up.
Her and who?
Damson Idris, that British actor who did
Played in Snowfall?
Snowfall.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they just broke up.
They just broke up.
I didn't know she had swung monkey branch to another person.
Yeah,
But
of
I mean,
course. It was
typical.
about 6 months after Michael B. Jordan. So,
It was probably like 1, but 6 months officially.
yeah. You know, they're on contracts.
Publicly.
They're on public contracts.
She does contracts, I'm convinced.
She could just be a professional escort. And we not even know it. Like a professional, no, not escort, like a professional girlfriend.
Oh, I was like,
Isn't that the same thing, kind of?
Well, escort's kind of like yeah, basically.
That's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, it is kind of the same thing. And when you think about it, the principle's the same.
It is. Principle's the same. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. Okay, back to why black love just never seems to work out.
When everybody heard that, like, me and my husband had threesomes before, it was like, oh, she's willing to do that to keep a man. I'm like,
nah.
That was on me.
So even
Hold up.
Have you ever met a girl where that was like their
Absolutely.
idea?
yeah,
Yeah.
I met girls that were like, oh yeah, let's do threesome.
Yeah, plenty. I met plenty.
Now,
Yeah.
were they already into girls?
Yes. Some of them were.
Some of them were.
Yeah, I would
Some
say
of
some
them.
of them were. Yeah.
But not all of them.
No.
No.
Okay, that's interesting. Because I haven't really ran into
College
anybody
shows
like
you a
that.
lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Definitely.
But I also went to.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I went to college away from the culture.
Yeah.
So.
A wholesome college.
Yeah. Yeah, like at my college, because when I came home, everybody's like,
We're
"Oh,
married."
you can't find like love, basically. Like
Yeah.
people aren't getting married." I'm like, everybody at my school was
Yeah,
like
engaged
married.
before I left.
Like most of the weddings we went to were because
Before
That's
I
awesome.
left, everybody was
Look,
engaged.
I'm trying to see more of that.
I was like, this is what happens? Like, I didn't know that was a thing, because I would come home, I'd hang out with like, our rage group, and everybody's
Yeah.
just like, oh yeah, I went through this relationship, not dating him anymore, whatever,
Yep.
yada, yada, yada. And then at my school, people would get down on one knee.
Yeah,
I'm
that
like,
happened in high school
bro,
too.
we had a guy.
Oh, yeah.
We had a guy that played baseball, University of North Georgia, in the mountains. Not even a predominantly white school, basically all white school.
Oh my God.
So we had a guy on the bus who was like, because we got meal money, and if you didn't spend the meal money, you got basically like $20 a meal. If you didn't spend the meal money, you got to keep it, basically, and use it as your own. We had a guy who was like saving his meal money because he was saving up for a ring, and he was going to propose to his girlfriend like after, and he ended up proposing to his girlfriend like right after. We had a guy on our team my
That's
freshman year
dedication.
who was married. He got married in the middle of the season.
wow.
Yeah, and so like for half the season for that whole season, I think he got married before the season. The whole season he was married. We had a guy who was literally married that played on our team.
Wow.
So it was a different
Culture,
then,
yeah.
and then I watched like YouTube, and they were like Red Pill was like
Marriage is no.
you were like literally there's no women out there, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Everybody here is getting married, and like these aren't like the women that they were describing weren't these women. These were like women
Yes.
who were like, no, I'm down for the cause. Like, I really want to settle down. I really want to be a
That's what
wife.
happens when
Whatever
you live in
that
an
looked
echo
like to
chamber.
them. I mean, even the ones that were, more on the progressive side, they were still like, oh, I want to, be married.
family.
And maybe it's not as traditional as it would look, but it's still what I still envision being married. We have a special guest making an appearance.
Sonic the mascot is back.
Miss Sonic's here.
Oh my
Climbed up in
gosh.
Miracle's lap. She's so people-y.
She's
man.
never done this to me before. I'm so excited.
Okay, let's get back to this Tiana Taylor madness.
Even after Teyana Taylor agreed to open her marriage and have threesomes with Iman Shumpert, they still broke up? Y'all, this is clear proof that if a man doesn't want to be kept, he cannot be kept. Like I mentioned in my previous video back in April 2023, there were already allegations that Iman and Teyana were living apart, and apparently they were only keeping face, and Teyana's mom had been helping out a lot since she had become a single mother. These people have apparently been separated for months now, and Teyana took to Instagram and wrote a rather detailed post to provide clarity and address the rumors about their split. She actually confirmed that they had been separated for a while, and she was also quick to say that cheating did not play a part in the breakup.
It can't play a part.
Yeah, 'cause it
when
was open.
That's what y'all do. So
So you can't cheat in an open relationship?
I mean, I guess technically someone would be like, if you don't ask permission, then that's cheating, depending on their agreement.
to me, that's not marriage. That's
No,
something
not
else.
at all.
Yeah.
Not
So
at
to
all.
me, it's cheating because if you're legally married and you are within the definition of what an actual marriage is under God, then anything outside of that is not marriage. So what this open relationship, open marriage thing is not real. It's not a real marriage to me.
Well, isn't marriage like the coupling, like two becoming one, like just
Yeah.
in
not
and of
2, 3,
itself?
4,
And
7.
so like, and then you have these ideas that, oh, like marriage can look different to different people. And it's like, okay, yeah, but you're still not marrying, like if you're inviting different things into the marriage.
It's not marriage then.
Yeah,
Call
it's-
it something else, but it's not marriage.
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, you're kind of getting away from, why do you need
The
to call
point
it
of getting
marriage?
married.
Why do you need to call it marriage?
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's a little weird.
Yeah.
Wrote on Instagram, in all fairness, Iman and I are separated and have been for a while. To be 1000% clear, infidelity ain't one of the reasons for our departure. We are still the best of friends, great business partners, and are one hell of a team when it comes to co-parenting our 2 beautiful children. Most
I call cap.
importantly, we are family, and in the 10 years together, 7 years married, we ain't ever played with or about that. Teyana just wanted to keep followers out of the group chat, which is the reason they have been able to successfully and peacefully separate separate without all of the outside noise. She said that the only reason she was even sharing that part of the chat was because the narratives were getting a little out of hand and were unfair to all parties involved. Separations are never easy, but trust, everyone is having a field day with how Teyana opened her marriage and even participated in threesomes with Iman, and in the end, she still couldn't keep the man. For those who've been following, rumors about Teyana and Iman engaging in threesomes started in 2018 when Teyana released the song Three-Way. She seemed to be detailing her experiences with Iman when she sang, "For my baby, I do some crazy things, yeah. So whatever he want, he can get that, cause two heads are better than one. Three-way, I couldn't wait to have with you."
Hold up.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And then there's people out there listening to her music and they're like, oh yeah, she's right. I'm gonna do that in my relationship, not knowing that that's not a relationship. That's crazy.
Yeah, I remember I was excited for the album to come out because everybody was hyping it up. She was signed to Kanye, and like I saw the song, I was like, Three-Way, and then everybody was kind of going crazy about it when it first came out, and I was like, why? It's like, why did you make a song? Like, it's one thing to have that be a part of your relationship. You can do whatever, don't care, but then to write a song about it and to share
Promote it.
You know, what you do publicly or privately to the public, and then, you know, go on the media tour kind of discussing like, oh, this is what we do, this is kind of why we do it. I thought that was a little weird, and I thought that's when you share your private life with the public, it is just not going to end well.
Yeah.
You know, even if you're opening your private life up to more people, like letting more people into your marriage, I think it would have lasted a lot longer had she not been on a media tour talking about it and discussing it, because then I think it was, you know, just a matter of time. But Iman seems like he was wilding out anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Teyana eventually confirmed that they engaged in three-ways with Iman when a follower told her she had no respect for herself. And she responded by saying that just because she and Iman enjoyed having another woman from time to time in their bed didn't mean that she had no respect for herself. She also told Jidenna during a Bumble conversation that she is the one who introduced the threesomes in their marriage.
Even just when everybody heard that, like, me and my husband had threesomes before, it was
Yeah.
like, oh, she's willing to do that to keep a man. I'm like,
Nah.
that was all me.
Hold up.
So do you think that commenter was right, that she didn't have respect for herself?
Well, she definitely does not respect the marriage.
Please,
does not.
please expound.
Because it's hard to say whether she respects herself or not. It's hard for me to say because I can easily say that if, for example, like the women I know who have been willing to sleep with other women to impress or satisfy their partners or boyfriends or husbands or whatever, the women that were willing to do that and they weren't into women, I can easily kind of say that about. But Teyana Taylor has always been into women. And so to me, it sounds more so like she doesn't respect the idea of marriage and relationships.
And so, because she didn't respect that, but it was almost like she was trying to cling on to it.
Yeah.
You know, because it's one
I can see
thing,
that.
because like it's like one thing, it's like, okay, it's open, okay, whatever, but then you want to be married and you want a commitment, but you also want it just on your terms. So when he steps out, then it's infidelity, but then you're only doing it on special occasions. So it's like,
Is that what it was?
yeah.
Then-
So I think that's what she described it, and I think the video later says that, oh, we're only doing it on like anniversaries and like birthdays, which is probably the worst time to do it.
Yeah,
That's kind of the
that's
most
a bit weird.
intimate.
Because that's supposed to be like
Yeah.
intimately enjoying your guys' time together for the period of time that you've been together. Just you and him, you know? And now you want to add someone in to something that's supposed to be set apart as something special to celebrate your marriage.
Yeah, so if that's the case, then yes, I would definitely say she does not respect herself, and she is trying to cling on to it, because to me it sounds like she already anticipated him stepping out on her. So to get ahead of that, she made this plan and tried to, be the woman that
Was in charge.
could be okay with that.
Right.
You know?
Now,
But you can only play yourself for so long.
Now, I also saw where she dated a lot of prominent people, like basketball players, entertainers, before she settled down with Iman. And so I think that behavior was already expected by a man. And so she wanted marriage really, really bad. And she wanted the idea and the picture hi, Sonic. She wanted that idea, but then she wasn't willing to establish that boundary because she wanted the idea with these high status guys, and she maybe didn't want to settle for somebody who was, average, who wouldn't step out on her. Yeah, she wanted the high status guy, plus she wanted them to, submit to her idea of marriage, and then to get ahead of it when she realized, okay, this isn't going to work. Okay, we can do the 3 ways.
Yep.
We can do all of that. Yeah, so I definitely think. But I want, while this video keeps playing, I want to pull up that list of everybody.
In addition, when Teyana was asked about busting down girls with Iman, she said that they do it on special days, like anniversaries and vacations.
I think that's the mix-up. You know what I'm saying? People hear it and think that is like a thing where it's like every day we just taking down. Like that's not that. It just be those times where like we just like if we on vacation. Like our anniversary, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just...
Now, why would someone have another person in their bed on days like their anniversary? And Teyana can shout to the whole universe that the marriage didn't end because of infidelity, but receipts don't lie, people. Receipts don't lie. Iman's cheating allegations actually go back to when he married Teyana. In 2016, there was a woman who claimed that she had been messing with Iman for 2 years, which happened to be about the same amount of time he had been with Teyana. Iman alleged...
Hold up.
If somebody shows you who they are,
Believe them.
you should probably believe them.
Yeah.
Probably believe them.
Yeah.
It's wild out here. I'm trying to find her dating history. I saw a short where it kind of listed everybody she had dated, and it was like a lot of people. It was like probably 7 to 10 people, and they were all like entertainers, basketball players, and it's like, yeah, I can see that, I can see that, I can see that. But it's after a while, it's like, why are you going through all these different relationships?
That's probably why Lori Harvey goes to her for like advice and stuff because
she's following the same pattern.
Same pattern, and also Teyana like sees herself in Lori probably.
Ooh, I didn't even think about it that way because I was wondering when I first saw that interview with them two on the bus. I was like, why are they talking? Like, why is she interviewing her? Like, why? I didn't realize that, but that definitely sounds like her walking in those footsteps, too. Interesting. I wonder if she'll course correct now that this has happened.
I hope so.
Yeah, how are children supposed to know what's right in a relationship? This screws up the thinking of your offspring.
They don't care.
Yeah, it's never about the kids. No one cares about the kids.
They don't care. They don't care.
It's like, F them kids.
They don't. That's
now,
the
in
narrative.
fairness, Teyana seems like a really good mom.
Oh yeah, she does.
Like I've seen her interact with her children, and it's beautiful.
But it's like you can be a good mom and still not
set a good example.
Yeah,
you can still be ignorant.
Good example, or teach your kids what to do.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Allegedly reached out to the woman on social media and planned to meet up with her in a Denver hotel. When the woman got to the room, Iman's Cleveland Cavalier teammate Kyrie Irving was supposedly there, and the woman said the men requested a threesome, which she was not interested in. Girl, homeboy must have been craving those threesomes from the very beginning. And if it really was Iman's idea all along, I'ma be honest, Teyana trying to make everyone believe that she was the one who introduced the threesomes is just embarrassing, to say the least.
Hold up.
Now, I'm never trying to, I'm not trying to do a threesome, but if I were, I'm not trying to see another man's scrotum.
You don't want an Eiffel Tower?
Absolutely.
Oh, God, that
not.
is funny. Wow.
Absolutely not. That is foul. So, yeah, that's just kind of crazy. This guy was on some other stuff before they started dating.
Just perversion.
And so then...
That's the whole industry, though. That's a whole different conversation, but that's the whole industry. That's what they do.
Yeah, but it's almost like she was trying to teach a old dog new tricks. Like, hey, come over here. do this, but this dog is like, nah.
She was trying to control the situation, and she should have left it alone.
Yeah, I like that.
Anyway, the woman also said Kyrie took her phone beforehand so she wouldn't record the incident, and he allegedly threw it at her head when she left the room after refusing to hook up with both of them. And then again in 2018, Iman was caught up in another scandal when Drake was having issues with his baby mama Sophie. The rumor mill had it that Sophie was concerned because she didn't know who the baby daddy was, because it could have been A$AP Rocky's, James Harden's, or Iman Shumpert's. But she was apparently happy when she found out the baby was Drake's. In January 2019, there was another cheating allegation.
I can't.
Drake be going out sad, man.
These guys be wild. So the crazy thing is that all these guys are sharing women like a slobbery blunt.
It's a small world. It's kind of like being in high school, you know, like you date one person, y'all break up, that person dates somebody you know, and they break up, then that other person dates somebody back in your circle. It's the same thing with celebrities. Yeah. They all live around each other. They're all around each other all the time, parties and different, you know, studios and movie sets and red carpets. They know each other. That's their world, and so they're gonna pass each other around.
But the thing is, it's like, if you want to settle down with somebody who's, you know, worth it, but all these girls are exhibiting these signs, staying within that community is only going to produce the same results. So you would think that, hey, if I really wanted to settle down, I would just, you know, exit out of this community if I was actually going to pursue a meaningful relationship where I wanted to get married. But all these people do is like, we just find something, and then something lasts a little bit longer than the other ones. It's like, oh no, this might be it. And then they get married and you're like, okay, that might work, but then it ultimately doesn't, because it's just the same repeated pattern as everything else. And then you find out, oh, it's all kind of just connected together because she dated him, he was with him, she was with him. Like it's crazy how that all works. And it kind of reminds me of, you know, in college, like, and it ties to basketball. The basketball team had like their group of girls. Everybody kind of knew, oh, that's one of the basketball like team's girls or whatever. Yeah, like the groupies basically. Yeah, and it's crazy how that, you know, you see the same thing in, you know, I guess, yeah, in like the higher levels. Yeah. It's like, it's the same girls. It's like, oh, I thought y'all had access to all the girls. That's what y'all say in your songs. Oh. That's what y'all try to parade, but it's really just the same girls in the same group.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so should you open your marriage? Should you open up your marriage?
HE double hockey sticks.
There's no such thing as an open marriage. So no.
Period. Let them know.
Wow. We got some strong opinions on this. Do you? We would like to know your thoughts down in the comments sections. T-Mac says, just pure nasty. Just nasty. Get it out of here. And we'll see you in the next video.
About that knee drop.
We're going to work through this track meet in Birmingham, get ready for the Nationals, and hope to put in a good performance.
Just making sure she pushes out of both legs out of the blocks and not just relying on one leg.
Wow.
Let's go do it.
Quality. What is up, quality people? It is the weekly tea. And it is me. It is her. It is her. We in here. We have a great topic lined up for you guys. Every car will have a kill switch by 2026. That is a typo, but by 26. We need you to, because we about to get into this topic. Now, this lady, I saw this post on Instagram, was claiming that there was a piece of legislation that required that there be a kill switch in all cars by 2026, and literally the government could just shut your car off after this. And this is in, legislator, and I believe it was in the Biden infrastructure bill. So we're going to take a look at what this lady has to say, and then we're going to see what somebody fact-checked, this roaming narrative. We're going to take a look at an article that fact-checks it by USA Today. First, without further ado, the lady of the hour.
Are you aware of the new legislation that mandates kill switches in all cars starting in 2026?
I'm not.
It was snuck inside a recently passed $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill and is a proposal to have a lockout device to be installed in all new cars. This is no joke and has already passed Congress and the House. So that means it's in play, it's the law until something changes that. A quote from law enforcement today commented that the infrastructure bill includes drunk driving kill switch in all cars, and some worry that government will abuse it. Drunk driving appears to be a cover for what can occur. The possibility for abuse is clearly something which bears watching. This could also give access to outsiders with spyware and hackers. Once you open
Let's go to the next video.
Are you aware of the new legislation? Access to the electronics, it can be misused by the government, preventing you from driving during lockdowns and national health emergencies, and opens up access to criminals with bad intentions, as computer hackers could seize control of these vehicles. And this is a huge safety concern. And finally, elected officials are realizing this is a more serious issue than they thought when they passed the bill. Now take a closer look at this infrastructure bill they jammed through. Section 24.220. This mandates installation of equipment to listen to in-car noises and conversation, yes, monitor your eyes, and kill switches to automatically turn off your car. It states all new cars in the United States will be required to install this kill switch by 2026.
Okay. So it's funny that we talk about this because my papa, he actually mentioned we should install kill switches in our cars, which I agree with on a personal, individual basis. I don't think it should be something like the government saying that you need to put it in your car and to have control over if it's on or off. So I'm team kill switch, but not for government purposes.
Yeah.
But kill switch in what manner? Why would you need a kill switch?
Well, if someone steals your car and there's an app or you have whatever, I don't know the technicality of kill switches, but you're able to stop the car if someone stole your car.
Okay, that makes sense.
I feel like that'd be the biggest reason to have a kill switch is if someone stole your car.
Gotcha. Yeah, so what do y'all think about the miracle? What do you think about?
I agree with that. I think a kill switch would be necessary, but why does the government have to be involved? Come on. This is not, I was going to say this is not what we want, but honestly, who knows what people want nowadays? They might want this government access into their car because people will give reason for it. What if, I don't know, what if someone does this? We need the government to be able to have access and cut off the cars if necessary, but why? It wasn't necessary before. Don't you think we can handle our own kill switches?
And also the impact of putting it in all of the cars and how she was talking about computer hackers and things like that being able to get in there. 100% that would happen, especially because threat actors nowadays, they're more advanced than the government themselves. So you put a kill switch in, they probably already know exactly how to get into whatever they want to get into. That would just be tough. That would be a disaster, honestly. But
Yeah, I did a project, and it was for an insurance company. It was a intern summer project, and we did it on autonomous cars. There's 4 of us that worked on this project, and it was basically about insuring autonomous cars. Of course, the big thing being, well, what about hackers and stuff? And I forgot what our rebuttal was. But nevertheless, there was a video that was out where there was a guy who was remote who had the technology to essentially control the vehicle of a car that was just driving down the road. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And he was like in another building. So I was like, geez, like that's the technology, that's what that's on.
I already know
And this was back,
self-driving cars.
yeah, this was also back in like 2015. And so just imagine how much more advanced, like what, it's
Now,
like 9 years later, 8 years later. So
and there's so much like you have to implement now, security-wise, to prevent being hacked. And even that only protects you like 85%. Like there's still that 15% where it's like, oh, someone's gonna get through,
right.
whether you like it or not. So it's just like, yeah.
Now, there was a USA Today article that, fact-checked this narrative that there was a kill switch in Biden's 2021 infrastructure bill. So let's take a look at that now. So it says, fact check. No, there's no vehicle kill switch in Biden's 2021 infrastructure bill. The claim bill gives government and law enforcement access to kill switch in vehicle beginning in 2026. So basically a January 2nd Facebook post from musician Ted Nugent shows a screenshot of the tweet with a photo of President Joe Biden and another photo of cars on the highway. Beginning in 2026, the kill switch will be mandatory feature on vehicles, reads the tweet. The device allows the government, the police, and car makers to disable your car from the comfort of their offices. Reminder, 18 GOP voted for this bill. The tweet is reference to a line from a commentary piece in the Western Journal titled Truth About Mandatory Safety Devices Biden signed into law. This is the power government wants over you that makes the same claim. So it says our rating, false. So they're saying that's a false narrative. Automobile expert told USA Today the bill does not direct a kill switch to be implemented in cars, nor does it give any third party, including law enforcement or government officials, access to the in-vehicle technology. Rather, the bill in question directs a federal agency to require technology that would detect driver impairment and disable the vehicle in that scenario. So what do you guys think about that?
I think it does mention it, but I don't know. I feel like in these situations, it's important for the reader to go and read the actual plan themselves. Yeah.
I can definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to say because if the bill is, if they're directing the companies to require it, that could also potentially mean they expect to have access to it when necessary. So yeah, I definitely agree. It's important to actually read these things, especially since it can sound a little confusing. Like, no, that's not what we said, but it is what we said, just a little bit.
Just worded
differently. Yeah.
Very interesting. Now let's go with the claim that misinterprets drunk driving provisions in the bill, because that's something that the lady was very heavy on, that, the drunk driving is just kind of a cover-up. In 2021, Biden signed the Infrastructure Investment and Job Act, bipartisan legislation aimed at enhancing the country's infrastructure. One provision in the bill seeks to prevent alcohol-related driving fatalities by making drunk and impaired driving prevention technology, standard equipment in all new vehicles. The claim, however, misinterprets the bill's directive on the technology. Specifically, section 20 or 24. I don't even know how you say those. You say it like 24. That you don't say it like that. Whatever. You see the number of the bill directs the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration to develop rules that would require new cars to be equipped with technology that passively monitors the performance of a driver, identifies whether they may be impaired, and prevents or limits motor vehicle operations if an impairment is detected. The agency has 3 years to finalize the standards for which the technology cars should use. According to the bill, automakers then have between 2 and 3 years to implement those standards. The earliest implementation date for this technology is 2026. So this is kind of crazy to me because, like, if they have the technology that kind of scans the car to see if you're too drunk to drive or not, what happens, like, when it's implemented? Because if you're already in the act of driving, does the car just shut down? Does it make you get over? Like, does it slow the car down? Because, like, if you just automatically slow down and you're on a highway, like, now you're a danger. That's why it says the minimum speed limit on the highway is like 40 miles per hour, at least here in Georgia on I-75, is because if you're going too slow, you're actually being a hazard, just as much as if you're going too fast. Yeah. And so what is the process of the technology when it does detect, we need to, shut this person down from driving? Does it just automatically just kill and you just roll down? Like, what happens?
Good point.
And so it's kind of interesting from that perspective as well. And so that's kind of the angle that I was thinking about it. But I mean, I can see the heart of what they're trying to get at. It's like, yeah, we don't want drunk drivers impacting and especially taking away innocent life that had a lot of potential and a lot of experiences ahead of them. But at the same time, how is this being monitored? How is this being legislated? Because somebody's got to be controlling it. It's not going to regulate itself, right?
And now,
there's got to be some sort of oversight.
Yeah, and now, like, moving towards AI and everything, like, they could just put in whatever parameters they want and
AI
control
just
the
kind of
device.
makes whatever out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a little scary, actually.
Interesting.
So, I mean, this brings up a question. Will the government have the power to turn off your car in 2026? Now, I was talking to Trent from TJ3 History about this, and he said, the key would just be to buy and invest in 2025 made cars.
Oh, yeah.
if every car is supposed to be mandated by 2026. So, yeah.
It's actually a pretty good idea.
It is.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
And people will hear that and won't do anything about it.
Yeah. Are we going to do something about it?
I mean, it depends on how serious this gets. Because the idea that all cars were going to be electric was supposed to be by, I believe, 2026. But that's going to be pushed down the road, mainly due to the pandemic, but also because technology still hasn't quite caught up yet. And so eventually, I mean, that's why they're pushing for electric cars. Now, I like electric cars. I don't have a problem with them. But it does open itself up to, more cyber attacks, more different things of that nature, because it's more dependent on that sort of technology.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just something to think about there. That's what we think. What do you guys think? Do you think the government will have the power to shut off our cars by 2026? Or maybe a future date after that? We'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section. We'll be right back in the live chat. We got one more topic. But if you're watching the replay, check this video out. Next! Fight for the algorithm! We're back. We were talking about cats taking a bath. But now, we're about to talk about Gen Z and will they ever grow up? Welcome back to Quality. Make sure you like for the algorithm because we're on a mission to spread practical religion. Now, The View. I don't always agree with them, but I actually agreed with something that Whoopi Goldberg said in this clip that we're about to break down. But the topic at hand is Gen Z and millennials refuse to grow up. Now, they're covering this topic that we are about to get into right now.
Apparently, millennials and Gen Z have a much different view of the American dream than past generations. Data shows that soaring inflation, student debt, and limited room for advancement in the workplace has made them feel that milestones like affording a home, starting a family, excelling within the corporate structure are out of reach. Does every generation feel this way at some point? I say yes. What do you think?
What do you got?
You can tell this annoys her.
What do you guys think about that?
About Gen Z not wanting to do the typical American dream thing?
Yeah, like everybody kind of goes through the...
It's their parents' fault. That's what I think.
Yeah, like what she just said.
Yeah, I think everyone goes through that. Yeah. I mean, maybe not everyone, but I think a lot of people do. Especially like once you start learning that you don't need to do the traditional thing to achieve a certain lifestyle.
Or like exactly what your parents told you to do. Because I think that's the misconception is, my parents know what's best for me, and then you kind of get older and you realize, oh no, my parents are people.
Yeah.
Just like I'm a person now, and I don't necessarily have to follow everything that they told me.
Prescribe.
But then, everything that they prescribed, that's a better way of saying it. But then sometimes they take it too far, and then they don't heed any of their parents' advice and wisdom, and they go completely away from tradition, which is, I think, bad because their parents have been through it and they do have a perspective that'll allow them to navigate the world effectively. Now, if you do it the same way that your parents did it, you will get probably the same or similar results. But if you take what your parents have done and use that as a baseline to catapult you forward, well, then now you can be beyond where your parents were. And I think that's something that they will get into a little bit later in the clip here.
We're sticking with our Clinton theme today. It's the economy, stupid. Like, my generation is the generation of the housing crisis, the financial crisis, 9/11. We've been in war basically my entire generation. You've got 45% of people ages 18 to 29 living with their parents. Our American dream's different. Doesn't mean other struggles didn't matter, but on the having kids specifically, I get it. Most of my friends, if they're not, married by a certain age, they're not owning homes at the same rate, and you don't want to have kids if you don't feel like you can provide that. My one piece of advice, though, to millennials who are holding off having kids because of the finances, if you're in a position, which is also expensive, consider freezing your eggs because you could change that position later and
That's not good advice.
Awful.
It's not good advice. That doesn't make any sense.
So what, you're going to have a kid when you're 50? Or you're going to have a kid when you're 50? You're going to be like...
That too. And I'm thinking more so along the lines of, okay, if you're thinking more so on the financial aspect and you can't afford kids right now, if that's what you're thinking, spend even more money to freeze your eggs.
Yeah, that was my thing.
That makes no sense.
When I first heard that, I was like, that makes no sense because it was like, if you're in the position to afford to freeze your eggs,
then you should be in a position
to have kids.
But then it's like, you could just take that money that you were going to do to freeze your eggs to just raise the kid, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
So that didn't make much sense to me, but I was like,
it did to her.
I was like, I don't know. I'm going to talk to Miracle and Kenya about it because sometimes guys just think too logically.
No, that's expensive.
We just make too much sense.
That was funny.
That's an expensive process. What?
Yeah, it's
that's
like
a whole process. Expensive and emotional and
Yeah.
mental. Like there's a lot that goes into that.
And it doesn't even
And
always work.
People just spit it off like it's something that's like, oh, it's so
I hear it
easy.
so much with like celebrities and people of like, you know, higher status. They're always suggesting to the average person, yeah, go freeze your eggs. You might change your mind in like 10 years. But how does that make logical sense to you? It might to you because you have a lot more money than I do, but the average person doesn't do that.
And it's at a chance to raise the child later, as if like you're doing something right now. Now, it makes more sense if you are a celebrity or an entertainer because maybe you're like in a prime of your career and okay, like I need to get through the prime and then revisit this. That kind of makes sense. But for the average American, it's like, oh no, you're kind of just, you're probably working at a job. Maybe you are trying to advance in your career, but it's like you're still going to be in a similar process typically. So why not add kids in the mix and get it down while you're young and you have more energy than when you're older and you're like, oh, I gotta chase this baby around.
You don't even know how your health is going to be when you get older.
Right.
Like,
I don't get that. I never understood why people would want to wait until 40, 50, 60 years old to have their first, second, third child. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And then to me, it's a disservice to the child because as they're getting older, they might not even get a chance to spend most of their life with you because you're so old that by the time they're 30, you're 90, and you can't even comprehend that you now have grandkids.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That's just such a disservice, in my opinion.
Oh, I can't deny that.
Want to. But no, it's hard. It is a very real struggle out there. I think it's refreshing to see people enter parenthood so soberly because I think for generations since the beginning of time, people get married, they just have babies because they're supposed to, and this is what we do. And then you see people like gay couples who fight so hard just to love a baby, and every day people are having kids that some are beaten and like not taken care of. And so to have a generation that says, I don't know if I can give them the life they deserve. I don't know if I'm capable of being a whole person and doing this. I say bravo, because it is not a slight undertaking.
That was my takeaway. I mean, you know, my generation, I mean, you got married, you tried to get a house, and you had kids. And this seems to be very intentional. They're thinking about it. And I agree with you, though.
Millennials are brilliant.
Your eggs start turning to dust, and so you have to be careful. And so if you're a young person and you have any kind of chance of freezing your eggs, which wasn't available to me when I was, you know, your age, I think that you got to at least preserve the opportunity because you may change your mind.
Hold up.
I don't understand what she was trying to say there.
I don't think she.
They're all
I don't think she. I don't think she was ready.
Sense.
Well, not that she wasn't ready because they had to be prepared for the show, but I think she was trying to say her position, but not
pander.
Yeah,
She's
pandering. Exactly. That's exactly
that's what they're all doing. That's why I was so
sense to
surprised
me.
with Whoopi Goldberg's response because I'm like, oh, she just said it. Thank you. I've never really agreed with her on a whole lot on this show, but I'm like, everyone else is like, oh yeah, millennials are genius. They're trying to be intentional. Just go ahead and freeze your eggs. Whoopi Goldberg's like,
y'all are idiots.
what are you talking about?
Yeah. All right, let's listen to what Whoopi actually had to say.
Sorry, I you know.
She said one kid is enough. Yeah,
Well,
kid,
but you know,
one kid is
listen,
enough.
every generation comes and wants to do better than their parents did. Every generation. But I'm sorry, if you only want to work 4 hours, it's going to be harder for you to get a house.
Oh, and don't mention 4 days.
No, Whoopi was right on that one.
She's absolutely
I'm
right.
gonna give Whoopi flowers if she
I got
deserves
to.
them. Because she was great. Well, she was in Little Rascals, wasn't she?
No.
Or was that her son? Or something like that?
I have no idea.
No, they just mentioned her. She was in some movie.
They did mention her.
She was in some movie that I like. Anyway, I used to like Whoopi when I was a kid, and then I grew up and I was like, oh no, this chick's wildin'.
Yeah.
But that was on point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Because it's like, hey, you're not gonna afford a kid if you want a job that you only work 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
And you're getting paid minimum wage or, you know, a low income salary.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, duh. Now you're going to be yearning and wishing that you didn't have a kid or you're not, or even if you want a kid, you're not going to be in a position to have it And so now you're going to be wanting like, oh, I want to freeze my eggs because I want to wait till I get in that position. It's like, no, like maybe you need to establish yourself so that you can be in the position to have just one kid. But also, you think about our parents' generations. Now, granted, everything is, but I mean, inflation's relative as well. Our parents had a bunch of, or our grandparents and their parents had a bunch of dang kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had like 17 kids.
Yes.
They would just...
They just worked. They
Yes.
just did what they had to do.
They did what they had to do to feed their family.
Yeah.
But they were also self-sufficient. Most of them were raised on more of an agricultural background. So they weren't necessarily jammed. The people that had a bunch of kids weren't jammed into cities. And that's kind of the direction that everything is headed in, is being jammed into cities, even the suburbs. It's like everything is cookie cutter right beside each other, throw a chain restaurant here. And so when you're spending $40 per meal on your family rather than $40 a week to feed the family, because you can go and get some eggs from the backyard or you're farming some vegetables, well then that's a lot different.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, then maybe, yeah, one kid's probably going to do it for you.
Yeah.
And so I think it just goes back to the overall mindset and ethos of the generation. It's like the generation is very dependent on the society to give them everything. Oh, we're just going to go get this quick. We're going to be on TikTok. That's fast food content. You get fast food meals. We want everything fast. We want everything to be moving fast.
Fast food relationships.
Fast food relationships.
Yeah. Online
but then it
dating.
also costs more when you actually break down the numbers, because the whole thing with fast food is like, oh no, it's a deal. It doesn't cost much. But if you eat it every day, it's going to cost way more than if you just spent more up front to actually make something that's better for you, healthier for you. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of where we are. I think that's the attitude of Gen Z and the millennials is that fast food, that fast food mentality that actually costs a lot more when you add it all up versus okay, let me just work, let me get my hands a little bit dirty and really grind, but then I'm actually saving a lot because I'm actually putting in the work.
Exactly.
So that I can have this savings. So, let's see what else.
I feel for everybody that feels this, but I'm sorry. We busted our behinds.
Mm-hmm.
We had to bust our behinds because we didn't have the option
Y'all gave
of
us
going
the housing
back.
crisis, though. But
listen, we had
Shut
all
up.
kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
no, it's true. But the one thing I'd say is millennials are statistically the first generation that's likely to do worse off than their.
Who's giving her stats?
Yeah, I want to know her sources
It's
because
like-
what are you talking about?
But like, even if they're right, it's like they just gave her a bunch of stats and she's like, oh, I'm gonna plug this one in now. It's like I hear something. It's like,
the
okay,
producer
no,
like,
I'm gonna put
now.
this.
Yeah.
It's just kind of crazy. It's
And
just
that
like,
stat she just gave, I don't understand that one. Like, the millennials are the first generation to statistically more likely do worse off than their parents.
I've heard that with like middle class, like kids that were raised as middle class, they tend to do worse than their parents. But I've never heard that one that she said.
yeah, but I mean, you're talking strictly socioeconomically.
Yeah.
And so people are measuring success, especially Gen Z and millennials, in a different manner because everything is kind of taken care of.
Yeah.
Money's not something that is the driving force. So like for the generations in the past, they wanted to make as much money as possible, which helped them elevate their socioeconomic status so that they could rise out of poverty or rise from the middle class into a better lifestyle. But these newer generations, Gen Z and the millennials, are like, oh, I'm good with what I have.
Yeah.
They're more, I think we're actually more content with
Yes.
what we have, and we're willing to settle for less, even though we are in a consumerist
Because even
economy.
if we do settle for less, we kind of still expect that same lifestyle in a sense. Because it's like, I think that statistic is right because of kind of like what you were saying, like historically, they've had to really work to get to a different level, and our parents really set the tone to where they are now. And so it's like, we're to a point where the next generation is really comfortable, and we're like, well, if I do a little bit worse than them, I'm still good.
Yeah.
You know?
No.
So yeah, we
absolutely.
might do worse, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're poverty-stricken or
Right.
in a sense that we can't take care of ourselves or that we can't afford kids.
It's also like a value thing too, because like I feel like now a lot like millennials and Gen Z, we just value life more rather than just being stuck in the office all day. So that could also play a role in that as well.
Yeah.
No, yeah, because I think before it was like, yeah, I will be willing to be stuck in this office or be stuck in my work because the goal is to make money, right? And with Gen Z, our value isn't making money. Our value is more experiences.
Quality. And our passions.
We want to go out and have more experiences. We want to follow our passions, do stuff more, get more into our hobbies. And so we care less about money, and as a result, we're going to probably make less than, some of our parents, depending on where our parents started out. And I think that's okay. It's gonna be hard to top what my parents did. I'll just kind of be honest with you. Now I'm gonna try, but
I will do.
But obviously, like Kenya will tell you, she's like really big on experiences, and so it's like let's work for these experiences, but also to provide a good life. But if we don't surpass our parents to the dollar amount or whatever, it's not like that's not what we're measuring our success by.
Exactly.
We're measuring our success by
our quality of life.
Our quality of life and our character, and are we living this life true to the character first set forth by God and the example that Christ set forth for us, but also to foster and build these relationships with the people around us, our community, and ultimately our offspring that come in the future. So yeah.
Am I living authentically?
Exactly. I think that is the true nature of authenticity, because people will say like, am I living authentically? But then they don't have a good barometer or definition of what authentic actually means. They think it just means chasing your feelings, and it's not that. It's like, you have these feelings and you have these things that you want to do, but you also have to sacrifice in order to reach these goals. And you can't have these goals that are too lofty to where it's just unrealistic. You can't just want to be living like the Queen of England.
But you don't do any work
But you don't do any work. It's like, so.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah, you got to be realistic. And then authenticity is kind of in the middle of like, these lofty dreams, and then what is realistic. And then,
realistic.
Then you chase that.
That's a troublesome word these days. I don't know if we know it's realistic, to be honest. In a sense, that used to be a good thing. Now it's kind of just.
It's like, really? what's gonna come out of the algorithm? Yeah. It could be something crazy.
Yeah.
No, that's good. Let's see what
that's what they said to us as well. Every generation is told you're going to do worse than your parents, and you know what? People pick it up and they do what they do, and they raise themselves. And this is what you got to do. It's called being a good citizen.
Okay, Whoopi. I can't believe we're about to end this live stream agreeing with Whoopi Goldberg.
I know.
Who would have thought?
Who are we?
Yeah, who are we? Now, this has been a fun live stream. This has been a great quality production, a great weekly tea. Now, we will be back, people, on Saturday. The weekly tea will be live. Also, the Conscious Outlet podcast will have an episode. So you're going to get double for your troubles on Saturday. So take a break from watching college football after your football team plays. Come join the live chat and hang out with the good quality entertainment crew. We are at 724 subscribers. We've really grown over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely incredible. So thank you. Our goal, of course, is 1,000 right now, and that'll reset once we hit 1,000. So keep sharing with your friends and family, and we cannot thank you enough for all your love and all of your support. But yeah, what do you think? Will Gen Z and millennials do worse than their parents? I think we're on the right track and we got a good mindset of what it means to be successful. But what do you think? Leave it down in the comments below, and we'll see you in our next video. Fight for the algorithm.
Hey, man. Get